Okay, so somebody asked me how you would make a cut that is not flat on a plane, that is curved in some way. And I got this little guy here that I'm working on. This is a Schlami from Rick and Morty. And he's not done. If you look at him, you'll still need to see that I got to do some work on the arms. And he's got one foot thing, but he's missing the other foot spat, I guess. And he's got some lumps on his head. There's a little stuff I got to finish. But he's done enough in order to show you how to do that cut. And I would start it by adding a square. Oops, excuse me. Okay. So we'll do this. Woo. Okay, now what I'll do is I'm going to hit Tab to go into edit mode of the box. And then I'm going to come over here and do some loop cuts. Oh, forgot. Now, see, if you go over here into Tool, you can set it for how many loop cuts you want it to do at a time. So I had 8. We want to go back to 1. So we're just going to make a couple of loop cuts. And you can probably guess where I'm going here. It's those hands. Right, we want to add those. So I'm just going to select that, hit E to extrude, click, and then just drag that down. Got a little bit of a finger sticking out, so we'll move that out. Oops. Got a little bit of a finger sticking out of the bottom. Excuse me. Hit E to extrude. Click, and then drag down. Okay. Now what I want to do is we want to follow this line of this sweater. Just to give you an example to show you how to do a curved cut. And I'm just going to add in a bunch of, a bunch of loop cuts here. I'm just guessing. I might need a few more as we go along. So then we're just going to move these down. I'm not going to be hypercritical about this. I'm just trying to show you guys how you would do an irregular cut. And the more loop cuts you add to this, the smoother you can get the curve. Okay, so now we're going to add some more loop cuts for the front and the back. Can't really see, so I'm just going to do it a little bit at a time. There's the edge of that. Now I'm just using the bottom of this sweater as sort of a guide. In reality, I would probably not do a cut like this because there's a little lip on the bottom of that sweater, and it would make when you fit those two pieces together and then you want to patch up the seam so it can't be seen, it would make it a little difficult. But this is just to give you an idea on how to do that. And I do flat cuts for the most part because I don't want to print supports. I don't like supports. I think it takes up extra time, it takes up extra plastic, and I don't like them. So I would want to do a flat cut. I would probably cut the pelvis above this and then probably angle off the legs here and then flip the torso upside down with that flat spot on the bed. And then I could either cut the knees so I'd have the thigh to print separately, or I could just cut this off maybe and print this whole leg right like that, straight up off the bed. That's enough adhesion for the bed that it would probably be able to handle that little, that little zigzag here. But that is not the point of this tutorial. You wanted to see how I would do an irregular cut. Now you gotta, if we hit this X-ray, it'll let us see inside a little bit. And I think we gotta, yeah, we'll have to go in there and smooth some of these out, because then we want to raise these up so we get a nice flat plane. Here, another thing we can do. Go in here like this. Make sure the bottom is deselected. We'll select all the top vertices and hit H to hide. Now, well, hide those. Now those vertices are still there. They're just hidden. But now I can see a little bit better what's going on here. And you can see I've kind of come pretty close to that curve. It's not 100% perfect. I can fool with it some more. Yeah, we want that one. And the more points you add in there, the smoother you can get that curve. Oh, there we go. And you have to keep messing with this until you got what you want. Kind of blindly selecting points that I can't see, which is probably not the greatest idea. You also want to keep an eye on some of these inside points. I mean, you can do weird stuff like this also. Like, let's say I selected from above some of these inside. Now if I hit S for scale, Z, and then 0, it's going to flatten those out. Now Z is for the Z axis. I could probably lift those up a little if I want, or I could go in here. Let's hit 3 to get the side, and I could angle that up a little bit and then raise it. And there's tons of stuff you can do. And don't forget, these planes are going to decide what kind of cut you get on the inside. So you want You don't want crazy peaks and valleys here, because that'll just give you absolute wackiness, and you don't want that. Okay, so maybe we need these down a little bit more. Maybe we want these up a little bit more. Let's turn off the X-ray. And it's not perfect, but it'll give you an idea. Now let's press Alt-H, and that will unhide the rest of the vertices. Hit Tab, whoops, hit Tab, and that will take you out of edit mode. Now if we select the model, go to Boolean, deference, use the eyedropper to select the cube. It's going to take a sec here. Uh-oh. Got an issue somewhere. There we go. Now you go. You got a irregular cut. Now if you want to do the other half, let's just Control Z and undo all that. We'll unhide that. We'll undo the Boolean modifier. Okay. So there you go. We undid it. Now if we go back into the box, let me see, X, there we go. I must have accidentally made that loop cut, which I didn't want. So we select the top, and then we just bring this down. You want to make sure that it's below the feet. Then go out of edit mode, select the figure, Boolean, deference, then select the cube again. It's taking a second because there's a lot to calculate. You apply it, and then if we hide this, you see we got that part of the cut. And you could do this a lot smoother if you take a lot more time to go in there. And you can also do, crazy stuff like if I was to just add another cube. Let's scale that down. And then move it over. Make it taller. Okay, so now if I went in here, okay, and this is just a for example. I guess we'll do one more. Right, now if I go to out of edit mode, I moved it, but that's okay. We'll go File, Boolean, it's already on deference. Use the eyedropper, select the cube, which is now a crazy zigzaggy shape. Let's apply it. And we delete it, and now we got that crazy cut. You can really do pretty much anything you want. It just depends upon the shape you make your cutter. And that's how you do crazy cuts with Blender.